Coach, thank you so much for joining us. I know you don't do too many interviews, and so we appreciate you joining us live today.
Well, good morning or good afternoon from here, but no, it's a pleasure to be with y'all.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and we're super excited. I mean, for those who don't know, you've had just a great long career coaching high level football in college and in the NFL. Obviously, we see Justin Herbert's jersey behind you right there. I guess the first question is, Coach, why is this the right move for you to go coach in Europe, to go coach in Madrid this year?
Well, it's a number of things. It's exciting, it's an adventure, and it's a challenge. That all those things combined. Actually, a few years ago, a former player of mine at the University of Colorado who had played in Switzerland and coached in Switzerland asked me to coach in one of his camps. I was with the Chargers in 2018, but we happened to be in Europe at that time, so we coached a camp in Vienna, and it's my first exposure. I was blown away. There were 400 kids there, and 250 they turned away. But the enthusiasm and the coachability, I had just come from UCLA where I was year after year in camps with 5-star guys that didn't want to hear anything from you. They had all the answers. And then you get these young guys that were just so eager to learn. So that kind of got me interested. And then I had a conversation a year ago while I was again in Europe on a vacation with the ownership of a team in the ELF that will remain unnamed. Great people, but I just didn't feel like they had the same commitment I thought that was needed to move a team forward. And so then you guys may know Danny Mitchell. Danny coached for the Vienna Vikings. Well, I worked this past season at UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, and Danny's an analyst there. And I know he does, maybe it's your show every week or something, or he does some podcast, but he asked me about it. And so he connected me with the ownership people with Jaime and Carlos, the athletic director at Madrid. And I just been blown away by their commitment, the level of their commitment, the foundation financially that they have built. Jaime Martin's the GM and part of the ownership group, and his family. We were in Madrid a week and a half ago for our combine, and I was just really impressed with the structure, the organization, the detail. I just think that they're doing everything to help us be competitive, and I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about the coaching staff I was able to bring, and then the players that we've been able to bring on board.
Absolutely, Coach. Yeah. I mean, it's and Danny Mitchell, yeah, he's kind of a legend out there in Europe, having a lot of success. I guess a question also that I have is, you've obviously coached a bunch in college and in the NFL, and you've recruited a bunch, but this is probably pretty new to be recruiting for a team that did not exist last year. I mean, you are part of the foundation of this team. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges of recruiting for a team that is brand new and kind of what you're facing during this task?
Well, it's a challenge, but I think we're trying to build a solid foundation, and I think it's been interesting because I feel like I'm back in college recruiting again, and but yet the openness of these players, the respect that they give you is over the top. They're very welcoming, very agreeable to talk, and our message is. I know it was said earlier, one of y'all said it's going to be hard to be competitive. I told Jaime and Carlos when we first talked, I flew over to Madrid during this football season. I was there for about 20 hours, but I told them right off the bat, my expectation is to win. We're not going to buy this whole thing about, well, it's going to take a few years. It's a new franchise. I'm not built that way. And none of our coaching staff is built that way, and we're looking for players who are not thinking that way either. If you're going to do this, you want to be the best you can be, and you want to win.
Coach, how aware are you of just the off the field mindset of football of Europeans versus Americans?
I'm learning, and I'm learning from the guys we've signed more than anything. And then our offensive line coach is a guy by the name of Mac McWhorter. He was at Paris last year, so he has helped me greatly. He and I coached together 43 years ago at Georgia Tech, and we coached together at Georgia Tech, and then again at Alabama, and then he was on my staff at Memphis when I was the head coach, and we're best of friends. So to have him on the staff, who, a guy that has been through the process of a first-year team, as a matter of fact, has been very helpful. But I'm learning as I go. The thing I said, and I mentioned it at our combine when I was interviewed. There's a lot of good coaches in this league, and I'm more and more impressed the more that I watch tape as we're evaluating players that are expressing an interest in us, or we're interested in them, that played in the ELF last year. I'm really impressed with the quality of play, the quality of coaching, the execution. It kind of surprised me, to be honest with you. But I've known Norm Chow for years. Coach Herman coming in like me as a new head coach, highly respected. There's a lot of good people in this league, and not just the guys coming from the U.S. A lot of the coaches that are homegrown to their native countries. Excellent football coaches, and you can tell by the product that's on the field. So we'll have our work cut out for us. And like I said, I'm just happy. Our present players have kind of helped educate me, and I'm going to rely on them as we go through the season to continually educate me about the whole concept of American football in Europe.
Yeah, that's great, Coach. One of the things that you touched on that I really like, and I know Silas and I have talked about this a bunch before with our experience in Europe, is the coachability of a lot of these guys out in Europe, and especially for some of these guys to have the opportunity to be coached by someone like you who has the experience and knowledge that you have, I think is a cool thing. What I want to ask is let's fast forward to the end of the season. The Madrid Bravos finished their first season ever with you as the head coach. What would that season have to look like for you to feel like, okay, that was a success? We were successful for our first ever season as an organization.
Well, I know as a coach, you should never paint yourself into a corner by making predictions or anything. But, be honest with you, my expectation, we're going to do everything we can to be in the playoff picture. That's, to me, and again, I know that's a big challenge. That's not to that message is not to diminish anything about the quality of players on other teams and coaches on other teams, because, as I said earlier, they're excellent. But we're going about this thing to win and to win it all. And I'd love to be in the battle and the hunt for it. I know we're in maybe the toughest division, that they or conference that they put us in. So we have our work cut out for us. But you play this game for one reason, and that's to win on the field. And if your mindset, I can't allow myself. When I was a head coach at Memphis, we'd play teams like Mississippi State and Tennessee and Miami and Michigan, but I never went into a game not expecting to win. And I think if you do that as a coach, and you're selling your players short. So we're going after this to be not just competitive, but to be successful and get in the playoff hunt.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, the chat right now, you mentioned it there. You're in a tough conference. People are calling it the Wild West right now in the chat. So you guys are going to have you've got some good opponents there, but obviously the Bravos are in good hands under your control there. The last question that we got here, a little off football. Why is your nickname Rip? Why do you go by Rip, Coach?
Well, my dad was a high school coach all his life, and I was a locker room rat. And his nickname was Rip from his dad, because he slept a lot after Rip Van Winkle. And so I'm a locker room rat, and I became Little Rip, and been that all my life. So I'm just bigger Rip now. But
you're gonna be that after your life too. R.I.P.
Yeah, exactly. I introduce when people meet me, and sometimes they'll get confused and they'll say, "Hey, Rick," and I'll go, "No, it's Rip. R.I.P. Rest in peace. No time soon." So that's kind of my mantra. But no, but I can't. I appreciate this opportunity. I can't tell you how excited. I mean, we have amazing ownership group, Jaime and then Carlos directed our personnel, and Jaime's family. I met all of them, and Jaime's wife, who is really the boss behind Victoria, is really the true GM of our team, truth be known. But we're excited for this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the ELF live show. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on here. I think the league is super lucky and super excited to have people like you coming to coach these teams and to lead a new franchise into existence. So we wish you the best of luck for your first season in Madrid and in the ELF. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Anytime. Thank you.
All right, Coach.
Thanks for having
We'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Zu Hause ist immer